sleep hygiene is a variety of practices that you can do to ensure good quality sleep for your child. By putting these practices into place, they'll be better suited to respond to the day and go through the day without a lot of disruptions to their mood and behavior, if they're getting adequate sleep. So one of the things that you can do as a parent, and some things that you can recommend to your patients, is to tell parents to establish a really good bedtime routine, which includes no screens an hour before bedtime. There's blue light that's emitted from computers, TVs, smartphones, all electronic devices that causes problems because it inhibits melatonin production, and which makes it harder for kids to fall asleep. And trust me, I know this is a hard recommendation, especially now that kids are required to be on devices for school, and you want them to be on devices so that you can get work done at home. But it's a really important thing to put into practice. And I hear all the time in my practice where parents say, oh yeah, we watched, the kids watch an hour of TV before they go to bed. And it just zones them out and they get so calm. And that may seem to be the case, but it's deceptively stimulating because if you can recall, if you've done that, the second you turn off the TV, they're wound up and like ready to go. And then it takes maybe another hour and a half to get them calm and ready to go to bed. So if you can turn off the TV an hour before, or all screens an hour before bedtime, that's the most ideal. If they absolutely have to be on a screen for homework, try to use a blue light filter that restricts the blue light coming in, hitting the retinas and causing wakefulness and thus decreasing the melatonin, which makes it hard for them to get to sleep. Secondly, don't let them play in their bed outside of sleep times. A lot of times, the kids' bedroom is also their playroom. And so they're in bed, they're playing with their stuffed animals, which may seem fine, but a lot of times it can be confusing to kids because when it is bedtime and they go into bed, they have that remembrance and that association. They think it's time to play. So if it's possible and if you can, restrict the time in their actual bed, even if they're still in their room playing, if you can restrict the time in the actual bed to just sleep times and actually sleeping, so that when it is time to sleep, they can realize that it's time to go to sleep and not put up as much of a fuss. The other part about having a routine is to try to do the same thing every single time so their body knows that sleep is coming. So when you have a routine that you follow every single night, the child also becomes aware of that routine regardless of how old they are. Starting in infancy, the routine of going in the room, turning off the lights, sitting on the rocker, reading a book, singing a song, rocking them till they're a little bit drowsy, all sets up the positive associations of what they should have before they go to sleep. So for older kids, getting them into their PJs, brushing their teeth, reading, turning off the lights, maybe even meditating, those are all good ideas. And you can even make a chart of those things, like a picture chart if they're not reading yet, of a toothbrush, a pajama, books. And so they know that after they get their pajamas on, they're going to brush their teeth. And after they brush their teeth, they're going to read a book, and so they know what sort of steps to follow and they know what's happening next, and they can anticipate it and be prepared for it instead of it always being a surprise. And I can give you a link for a chart that you can just purchase, or it's fun sometimes with older kids to make that chart with them with construction paper or whatever. And that way, at the end of the night, as you're going through those things, you can check them off the list and say, all right, buddy, did we get our pajamas on? Yes. We brushed our teeth? Yes. Did we drink a sip of water? Yes. And that way, when parents go to leave the room and they're like, but I didn't get to blah, 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 you can say, we checked that off the list. We took care of it. Also, you want to establish relatively consistent sleep times and wake times. What happens a lot of times is that because of activities and such, kids are going to bed much later, and so then parents allow them to sleep in the next day. And right now, because of the we really don't have anywhere to go and don't have schedules, it's easy to sort of let kids sleep in and have a willy-nilly schedule. But if you can establish a consistent wake time and bedtime, it helps them regulate their internal clock and their circadian rhythms, and they just fall into place where they end up falling asleep a lot easier and waking up less groggy and better rested when they have a consistent bedtime and wake time.